Yoshi is one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. Since his debut in Super Mario World for the SNES, he has starred in countless games in the Mario series. Interestingly enough, he has also starred in several puzzle games, notably one just simply titled Yoshi, which was developed by Nintendo, and the other being titled Yoshi's Cookie, which was developed by Bulletproof Software, now known as Blue Planet Software, which was the company that was instrumental in bringing Tetris over into the international mainstream. There were 3 versions of Yoshi's Cookie, one for the SNES, one for the Game Boy, and one for the NES, which is going to be the main focus of this review due to having grown up with it the most. You play as Mario, who is a baker in this case, and you're trying to sort cookies and to match and line them up in order to send out a row or column of the same cookies. Every time you get rid of a row or column of cookies, you fill up one of the bars on the side of the type of cookie you just sent out. If one of the bars fills up, then you get a Yoshi cookie, which serves as a wild card for any kind of cookies you could get rid of. If the falling cookies build up to the top or to the right hand side, then it's game over with unlimited continues. Once you get rid of all the cookies that have settled on screen, you win the stage and you go on to the next stage, which there are 10 for each round, and there are 10 rounds total throughout the game, which you can select at the beginning of the game, as well as how fast the cookies drop at low, medium, or high speed, and you can pick from 3 songs for background music, or you can just leave the music off and or pop in your own tunes if you wish. Speaking of the music, it's pretty good for late NES era standards. They're pretty upbeat and quite catchy to listen to. The graphics are pretty darn good too. Mario and Yoshi are both well represented in 8-bit form, and the cutscenes in between rounds are pretty rewarding and funny as hell to watch, as Mario has numerous mishaps trying to catch a freaking cookie. The controls are pretty solid too. I wouldn't call them fluid, as it's a tile matching puzzle game, but I wouldn't call them stiff either. You control the plus shaped cursor with the D-pad and hold the A button while using the D-pad to shift the cookies horizontally or vertically. The B button, on the other hand, speeds up the falling of the cookies, which can be pretty useful when you don't have the cookies you need to complete a row or column. But you gotta make sure you don't cause too many to stack up and reach either edge of the playfield. It's a pretty fun and challenging game for the single player mode. Speaking of game modes, there's also a 2-player mode. In this mode, you're trying to get rid of cookies to keep your timer from filling up, all the while screwing up your opponent and preventing them from getting rid of cookies. And the first to get rid of 25 sets of cookies wins, which sounds pretty intense, and it is. Much like the single player mode, there are several things you can adjust before starting the mayhem. You can adjust the speed at which the timer increases, the handicap which adjusts the difficulty, and the background music type, or leave the music off. Aside from the typical gameplay, there are also status elements that you can dish out to your opponent, such as Blind, which prevents your opponent from seeing most of their screen, Panic, which scrambles all the cookies on the screen, Slave, which allows you to control your opponent's cursor for a short period of time, and -3, which decreases their score count by 3. There's also a +3 status element that can increase their score by 3, so don't do that. The 2-player mode is fun and frantic, and I can't help but pop this in and play it with a friend. It's that freaking awesome. Overall, Yoshi's Cookie is an excellent puzzle game for the NES. As late to the party it was in terms of the console's lifespan, it still proved that the aging system still had some kick in it when it came down to graphics, sound, gameplay, and overall fun factor. If you haven't picked this game up, then I'd say give it a whirl. It's a great time killer and an overall fun game in general.